Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. Quick, hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on our socials too: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to this podcast on. Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. My name is Ruru, and I am a TV holic. Mimi is not here because she does not watch this show, so I just thought I'd recap it by myself and let you guys know what I think. I'm just going to take a sip of water because I forgot to before I started this, so sorry about that. Sorry if I gulped into the mic as well. Anyway, let's get on with this, because I have quite a bit to say. So this show is called Class Crush Crisis, and it's on Netflix. It's a Thai show, and I thought it was for like an older demographic, but it's actually for a much younger demographic. It's like more of like teens, and I just noticed that after I started watching it. And then I paused it and I checked on Netflix and it says teen. So then I thought, let me just carry on watching it and see what it's all about. I did, and I was pleasantly surprised. There was a lot of, let me just talk about some of the things I noticed that were like super unique to, well, not unique, but I thought stood out. So basically the way that they play the music in the background, you know, like when situations are happening, like something funny or something sad, or, you know, like a surprise or something like that. It's basically like, you know, if you look up old shows, TV shows from like the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, that is exactly what it sounds like, I mean. Kind of reminds me of like Saved by the Bell music. Not the music for the show, but, you know, the background music for when things happen. And also, well, maybe I should just like save it for like when I'm talking about other things in the show. So yeah, I was like pleasantly surprised. It gave me a lot of insight into Thai culture. I have not been to Thailand. I've not traveled to Thailand, but this made me like super interested and curious about the culture in Thailand. Anyway, this basically, I feel like there's a lot of chaos surrounding like the dorm room situation and like other things that I will unpack later on in this episode. So yeah, let's get on with it. So I'm just gonna give like a bit of a like, you know, overview of the like whole thing. So basically, like I said, the title is Class Crush Crisis. I don't know how to pronounce the Thai name. I did find out what it is in Thai, but I'm not going to attempt to say it. Okay, let me just try. Pune Sanit Rawang Kahit May Su. Again, I'm so sorry if I butchered that, but I don't know how to speak Thai, and I just tried to like say the title for the sake of the pod. And it roughly translates to Close Friends, Beware of Dishonesty. So that is quite an interesting title. So I don't know why they called it Class Crush Crisis. If someone's Thai, please let me know, or if you've seen this show, please let me know why Netflix would change the name. Because why wouldn't they just like use that name, use the actual name? So basically it's streamed like directly onto Netflix, I think. And it airs like weekly, so I'm only on episode 3 right now. Episode 4's about to drop this week. I will get on to recapping that as well. I don't know if I'm going to do it every week or like, you know, bundle a few up and then do them together, but I definitely will continue. I think there's only 12 episodes, and that's what I noticed, because I looked at a few other Thai shows. I haven't watched them, but I've just looked through them on Netflix, and they seem to have like this 12 episode kind of pattern to them, which is odd because, well, it's not odd, but it's kind of like good, you know what you're getting, because Korean shows are typically either 20 episodes or 18, but usually they're 16 episodes long. So you kind of know what you're getting into. And shorter shows are like 10 episodes long. The length of the episode, I think, each episode is roughly about 60 minutes long. So there's a lot to cover, so I'm just going to get on with it. What else? So production house is Change 2516. And it's under Changeverse, Gen Z BL initiative. And the director for this production, this TV series, is, again, I'm really sorry, but it's Nathan Napong, Wong Ka Eve, Kav E Parijo. Again, I'm very, very sorry for the poor pronunciation. And it's also like adapted from a web novel called Class Crush Crisis by Jiti Rain. He's basically like this prolific Thai BL author, and he's behind like other hits and adaptations like Together and Theory of Love and Vice Versa, which I also haven't watched. Like I said, this is my first ever Thai like drama, Thai TV show, or like any kind of like media. I haven't watched any movies either. So the concept basically, the series basically takes place at Watahan Kun Leil Kun Leil school, a historically prestigious all-girls private academy that basically has just like transitioned into like co-ed. That means like, you know, male and female model for the first time. So they're getting all these like influx of boys coming into the school. So there's Lirit, who's played by, I'm not going to pronounce his name, it's really long. And he's basically an incoming like 10th grade transfer student, and is aspiring like, and he's an aspiring indie rock musician, and he arrives from an all boys school, and he's with his best friend, and he's burdened by like past distractions, and Lee Rit basically makes like a strict personal vow on the show for no romance, no distractions, and focus purely on music and his studies. And then there's also Putta, and he's basically the school's top tier academic student and dorm monitor, and he's strict, and he's kind of a disciplined, very disciplined person. Basically when Lee, I'm just going to call him Lee. You guys know who I'm talking about. When Lee's initial like house arrangement falls through, he was basically forced to like share a dormitory condo because he wanted to move out of his parents' place, and he begged his parents. And basically he moves in with Putta, and putting his like no romance rule. This basically makes him put his like no romance rule to the like a test, because he also creates that group and everything, which I'll talk about later, and he keeps saying no romance within the group and stuff like that. And what I also found interesting, that I think Thailand's probably the only country where they've got like a teen drama that's totally centered around, like, the main leads are two males, and it's a LGBTQIA plus drama, which I thought was really interesting because you don't get that in, like, the UK or in the US. You have, like, other characters on the show that are, you know, gay or lesbians or, you know, bi or whatever, but it's never, like, solely focused around, you know, those kind of characters. Anyway, the filming and stuff like that. So I just want to talk about that and production. So on January 30th, 2026, 2026, officially, it was announced that Changeverse, in 2026 showcase event as part of the Change 2561's global content expansion, that they were going to be doing this show. And then February 2023, in 2026, the official cast, fitting, and character look was revealed. So they just showed basically the characters that were going to be, you know, played and who they're going to be played by and stuff like that. And then May 13th of 2026, the official blessing ceremony, that's basically a merit-making kind of like ritual for good luck, held at GMM Grammy Place in Bangkok, took place before the principal photography commenced for the show. So, you know, like when they get all the imagery done to, you know, promote the show with. And then basically the principal photography took place across Bangkok and surrounding private school locations, and between midday and mid-May and like late June. That's where everything was, like, the photography was. And I don't know if by photography they mean the filming of the show, so I could be wrong about that. It might not just be like publicity images. And then the cast held a public promotion in June, on June 27th, and promotion like busking events across Bangkok and major shopping districts, including Central World and Siam Square. Again, sorry if I'm saying these things wrong. And then July 24th, 2026, there was a red carpet premiere event held in Siam Pavali Royal Grand Theatre at Siam Paragon. Again, sorry about the, you know, pronunciation of anything, or if I said anything wrong. Okay, so basically, I'm going to be discussing episodes 1, 2, and 3. And basically, episode 1 is like a culture shock and like vows and stuff like that. And then episode 2 is like the dorm room situation. And then basically, episode 3 is like a crush investigation. So let's just start with a little deep dive into like and breakdown into basically episode 1, the culture shock and the vow situation, like I said. So basically, Lee arrives at Watan, at his school. I'm just not going to pronounce the school's name. And he's expecting like a normal school experience, but he immediately like has like this kind of like encounters basically a cultural shock of like high society Gen Z private school culture. So then like basically the student body is like dominated by like rich social media like obsessed influencer teens, I think, who record everything from blogs, and they hang out at like CM Center. And Lee feels out of place with his like indie rock gear and low-key kind of persona. I don't really think he's that low-key, but like I see what what basically the show was like going for with a low-key situation. And to guard his heart and protect his like musical ambitions, basically Lee like basically swears off high school romance. And we basically see glimpses into that he's into guys, like he's into one particular guy throughout the show. So then episode 2, these are just like a little roundup of what's happening in the episodes. So episode 2 is basically like Lee. So, we see that he's into Putter, and he like basically asks Putter for his like number straight away and stuff like that. But because he thought that his friend was like his bestie was asking like for his number. So I think everyone in Thailand is quite fluid, like the younger generation, and it's not really, there's not much of like coming out culture. I think people just like are, free and fluid, which is interesting. And then, so let's move on to like episode 2. So that is like the like forced like roommate situation. And basically Lee's housing plan collapses because of an administrative like mix up, and he really wants to move out because of his like he's getting really like claustrophobic with his parents, and there's so many rules, and his sister's annoying him and stuff like that. And then basically Putter that steps up to offer a spot in his like spacious apartment room, and then there's like a polar opposite dynamic that we see with Lee is like super messy and casual and music driven, and Putter is like super neat and really hyper organized and very academically rigid. And then there's like tension that builds up through physical, like, probably physical like proximity, setting up the enemies to roommates to lovers kind of trope situation. And then we have like episode 3, it's like getting to know like things about his secret crush kind of thing. So Lee notices Putter is like acting unusually secretive and comes to the conclusion that Putter has a hidden crush on someone at school. And then basically Lee launches a chaotic kind of investigation to uncover who Putter likes, talking to like different students and different cliques. So he talks to some of the girls, talks to some of the guys, and he really investigates. He goes to so many different people. But I think he was making it like super, super obvious because he was just asking questions that would kind of trace back to Putter. Although he was trying to do it like covertly. I think it was too like obvious. And then there's like a bit of comedy as well. Like every effort that Lee makes to figure out Putter's crush brings him like nothing, like too like closer. It brings both of those brings Lee and Putter closer together. And it basically reveals that Lee himself is becoming like the center of like Putter's like attention, not attraction, but attention. Yeah, attraction and attention. So I just want to talk a bit about the behind the scenes gossip and cast dynamics. So the lead chemistry between Eugene and Yunjin. I think they both have the same name, but spelt differently. I'm not sure. So Putter and Lee, the guys that play Putter and Lee. The production team deliberately paired those two together, making them an immediate talking point due to their nearly identical like stage names. I was right. Sorry, I'm just reading off this gossip sections. And then during June 2026 busking promotion events at Siam Square, live acoustic performances by Eugene, the one with the YUJEEN, drew massive crowds, and it kind of blurred the lines between his like character Lee, indie rock persona, and his real life musical talent. And then the production company, the show like marks change to 5-6-1 strategy to shift from traditional adult mainstream dramas, like Club Friday, to Gen Z youth dramas with like high production values and soundtrack tied in, basically. So the soundtrack as well was interesting. Like I mentioned, like, the musical score earlier. Well, not exactly the musical score, just the, like the bits of the transition music and stuff like that. Yeah, the lead actors sang the official main theme, No More Hiding, produced by Pierre Apon Lam Jamrat, of popular Thai band Three Man Down. Interesting. Also, I just want to mention before I carry on with anything else that I also noticed that there's a lot of English vocabulary they used, so they just burst into English like now and then, like whole like phrases. So it's not sometimes it's just like one or two words, and sometimes it's like entire phrases, which is really interesting because they don't tend to do that on Korean shows and also in Japanese shows, although I've only watched like a few Japanese shows, but it's not like a thing that they do. But I think it's in their natural day-to-day lives. They have a lot of like English phrases that they kind of like shove into their vocab. And maybe it's also a younger generation thing, like a Gen Z thing, or it's probably maybe part of their culture. I don't know. Yeah, so I found that really interesting. Let's carry on. So basically the critical, like, I'm just wanna like see what like critics said, and like also like if there's like audience backlash and stuff like that. So the hyper privileged like aesthetic, viewers like on Reddit and social media noted that the show leans heavily on like wealthy tropes. 16-year-olds living in luxury condos and driving expensive cars and obsessing over social media followers. While intended as like a light-hearted like teen fantasy, a lot of critics felt that it lacked grounding, like compared to real high school life in most of Thailand, because real high school life in most of Thailand is nothing like that because it's not as privileged. And then also earlier viewers like highlighted like audio consistency problems in episode 1, uneven dialogue levels and like background score during outdoor scenes. I didn't really notice that much, but I think there was a few times when I did notice things like that. And then other like ethical like side quest like subplots were like students like uh student commits the student I can't even read my notes properly. The student communities manipulate classmate pairing for social media vlogs, raised minor criticism regarding basically consistent privacy boundaries in high school settings. I can understand that because social media is becoming a huge problem around the world within schools. And then I just have a few other things I want to note. I do like them too as a couple, and I think it's like kind of cute when like they have their little moments together. So they had their little moment at the mall and at the cinema, and they also had a moment like the mum caught them, which I didn't think was explained properly. Didn't the mum think what's going on here when she walked in on them like on top of each other, and they just kind of like brushed it off. So I thought that was a bit like, you know, dumb that happened. What else can I remember that happened? Ugh. It's just I like the outdoor when they were all eating outdoors. Well, they went to go get food from these like stands outdoors in the evening, and then they had their basketball match, and everyone was asking the guys in the club that they made were asking about, who's your crush? Putta, and Putta was like, no one in this group, and then like Lee looked really upset and all that stuff as well. And then basically people have like compared Jitta Rain's like previous works, like how does like basically Class Crush stack up against Together or Theory of Love? And because I haven't watched that, I'd love to know everyone's perspectives. Like, do you guys think this is like better than Together and or Theory of Love? And basically, how do you feel about this guy as a director and the music he uses as like part of like the plot device across his novels and stuff like that? I would love to know because I haven't watched any of his other stuff. So I thought that would be interesting for you guys to like fill me in on that, educate me. And then basically the co-ed transition trope, how like basically it's single-sex schools transitioning to co-ed creates like instant conflict for like plot lines in like movies and TV shows. I think that was an interesting like trope to add onto the show. Is it something that is used quite a lot in Thai shows? Again, let me know because I haven't watched any apart from this one. And I also love the way they filmed it as well. It's quite interesting. And the camera quality is very good. The sound is good apart from the first episode. So yeah. So the soundtrack as well. So the No More Hiding and Puppy Love and Sweet Picnic. Those are interesting songs as part of the soundtrack. Are you guys into the soundtrack? What do you think of it? And how like basically the music functions as like a narrative bridge in episode 3 is quite interesting as well. Is this something you guys thought was like an important part of the show, like the music? Like I thought it was quite important, like I explained earlier. And then like the theories, people have like a lot of theories online about episodes 4 to 8 and what's going to happen. And I really want to know like if you guys can share with me your predictions on when Lee is going to like give in to his no romance rule and like basically get together with Putta. I think that he's gonna give in pretty soon to his no romance rule, maybe in the next couple of episodes, and then him and Putta are just gonna hide it from the members of his group and his parents. I don't know if he's gonna come out to his parents or not on this show, but I think he is gonna be just hiding it from the people in his club that he made, his school club, because he has been very adamant about saying no romance, blah, 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 because it distracts you. And I just want to focus on my music and my studies and all that. I think it's interesting how they had like the guidance counselor, the teacher who was trying to be a guidance counselor for him. I think he might open up and confess to her as well. And yeah, so those are my like theories. I would love to hear your theories on the situation. I will hopefully drop this before episode 4 comes out. So maybe on the day it comes out or just before or just after. I'm not quite sure when to drop it, but I'll drop it as soon as I can. Anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and I'll be back with more of these episodes about Class Crush Crisis on Netflix, and I'll finish recapping my thoughts on the whole like season, and I might do some more Thai shows, and we will definitely be back, me and Mimi, with the Love Lab, and we've got other shows to go through as well, like Korean shows, and Badly in Love as well. We'll be recapping that pretty soon as well. Bye.
Quick, hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on our socials too: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky. YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to this podcast on.